Hi there, and welcome. So this is a quick recording for collaborating with EndNote, and I'm going to cover some basics to getting started with EndNote, and then in the second part, I want to talk about how to use EndNote if you're going to be if you only have access to Google Docs. So ideally, EndNote and Microsoft Word will work together. I will cover a little bit about that too. But if you don't have access to Microsoft Word, we've got a Google Doc hack to make EndNote work with Google Docs. And then cover how to share your EndNote library with other collaborators, other authors. So by the end of the session, we'll know how to add citations to your EndNote library, how to organize them into groups, how to set up the find full text function in your EndNote library, and then in the second part of it, we'll talk about creating an online EndNote account to facilitate sharing with other authors, and then how to use your EndNote library to create citations in Google Docs. Okay, so you know what EndNote is. We're going to use it to collect citations, insert citations, and the idea is that it can create bibliographies for our papers. So the whole reason we use this right now is to help organize all of those citations that are out there in one place, one easy to access place, and you know, that we can use EndNote to create and format our in-text citations and works cited or references at the end of our documents. So this is a nice simplified way of thinking about EndNote. You are using it to search a database like PubMed, and PubMed has 30 million citations. So you're going to take out just what's relevant to the work that you're doing and create your own little mini database with it. So that is EndNote in a nutshell. So you're using EndNote to save, and then you're going to use EndNote to create your citations for you. Okay, so some of the basics. We're going to open an existing EndNote library. Hold on, let me quit this. I am on a Mac. If you are working on a Windows, then you might have your Windows icon in the lower left-hand corner. You would search for EndNote there. On the Mac, I can go to my Launchpad and I can click on EndNote. So if you're on a Windows, you may have a gray window that opens up. On the Mac, my last used library opens up for me automatically. If it doesn't open for you on a Windows computer, you would do File and then Open Library. For File, if you've never created a library, File, New. Okay. So the thing to remember here with your EndNote libraries is that you want to save it in a place, save it with a name that you can remember and in a place that is on your computer. You don't want to save the EndNote libraries to any kind of cloud-based sharing service. So you don't want to save it to Google Drive. You don't want to save it to Dropbox. You don't even want to save it to network drives. Over time, these files become corrupted, so it's best to save it your desktop in a documents folder, but somewhere on the computer. Okay. So I'll do a quick orientation to the EndNote screen here. There's a few things to kind of keep in mind. Your library pane is where you're going to see, if you haven't added anything to it, it'll be empty for you at the moment, but this is what it starts to look like once you've started organizing your different citations. Right now, I'm highlighted in all references, so this would just be a list of the 4,000 different citations. This is a difficult way to look through it though, so you use groups. So if I click on, there should be something in there. Okay, we're gonna disregard that one. So this is a group set that I set up earlier today, and I can click into this group set and look at just the citations that I organized into that group. So first step is to bring our citations in though. So whenever you bring citations in, or this is just your preview window for looking at your citations, you can edit these fields here. Everything is editable. And then you also have, let me move that down there. If there's a PDF attached, so here's an example. There's a preview window here. You could also open this PDF. You can annotate it. You can add notes to it. You can highlight. And that will all be saved here within the software. So some other things to keep in mind are these 3 different icons at the top. We have one that looks like a folder with a world view. We have one that looks like a world icon, and then this one that just has a folder. So this is called our local library. So anything that we decide to save to EndNote library, that's what's in our local library. This world icon, this is the component of your EndNote library that can search an online database. So you can search, here's a list of different databases here. You can search these through EndNote and then select the citations that you want to save in the local library here. This other window, and I notice, we run into trouble with some of our some of our students or our Jabson family, but this is an integrated library and online search mode. So what that means is when you're in this mode, you run a search. So say you can search PubMed through this library, but what happens is that the citations are automatically saved to your local library. So if you run a search and it pulls 1,000 citations, when you're in this mode here, it's going to automatically save everything. So you don't have much control over what is being saved. So unless that serves the purpose for what you're working on, so maybe we have some offices that are trying to use EndNote to keep track of what their authors are doing. So they can run a search for an author name, they can pull everything that author did, and that works for them. But say you're just searching and you only need a couple different articles, you don't want to pull all 4,000 of the search results, you definitely don't want to be in this mode. So I think it's good standard practice to just try to keep the two, to keep your local library and the online search mode separate. So keep yourself in just the local library for now. So let's make sure we're in local library. And now we're going to go to PubMed. So I've got a PubMed window open here, and I recommend going to this new interface. If you've clicked into the old interface, there should be a banner, and that will switch you over to the new interface. So I am going to run a search for, I'm just going to use this treatment search. And you have a couple different options now. If I check mark, let's do these. I am going to check mark the boxes next to the articles or the citations that I'd like to save. So I check mark and I click on Send To. Next, I will click on Citation Manager. So I can click on Create File here. And then this is my citation file. It's going to start with the name PubMed dash whatever my search terms are and end with NBIB. So this is probably going to end up in your downloads folder. But if you're using the Chrome or Firefox browser and your EndNote library is open, you should be able to click on that citation file from PubMed and it should automatically import it. So we call it direct export into your EndNote library. So I have all references, and then I have imported references. And so these are the 3 articles that I just saved from PubMed. So going back to the PubMed window here, the other option you have, and this is with that new interface, I'm going to clear that selection, is I could go to Send to Citation Manager, and I can just save all of the results that are on this page. I could save all of the results from the search, or selection was when we check the boxes. So if I wanted to do all results, it would export all 133 of these results for me. So this is good when someone is working on a systematic review and you have, you know, a complicated search going. You have that search option within EndNote here when we're in our online search mode, or but you have less functionality in terms of your search. You have less control. So you have a few boxes to work with, you know, some ands and ors and nots and things like that. But I do just recommend searching from PubMed when you can, from the PubMed interface, and bringing it into EndNote from there. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is when you've imported your references, so say you were to import another set of references, these 3 will be filed under all references with the 4,000 references unless we decide to organize it now. So before we import any more references, we want to create a group, a folder. So I'm going to go to Groups, Create Group, and I'm going to call this was my treatment. So with my treatment folder here, I want to nest it, so you can highlight it, click on it, highlight it, and then you can move this group where you need it to go. So I have a COVID-19 group set started, and I want to keep everything that's COVID-19 related in one group set. So if you wanted to create a set, you would go to Groups, Create Group Set, and then you could name it accordingly. If I double click on the group name, I can change it. If I double click on this folder name, I can change that also. And then I have a number, like a preview number that will tell me how many citations are in there. Okay, so right now my treatment folder doesn't have anything, but these imported references I want to highlight. So you can click on the top citation and then hit Shift and click on the bottom citation. It'll highlight all 3, and then you drag and drop it into the treatment folder. So now my 3 citations are there. Okay. Step-by-step instructions are here if you need to refer back to them. So if your direct export did not work, there are instructions here to manually import into EndNote. So when I was in PubMed, I was able to click on the download folder here, and it automatically opened in my EndNote. If that doesn't happen for you, what you would do is you would go to File, Import, and we're looking for these NBIB files. Okay. So I'm going to, so this is a file that this is a different file that I downloaded earlier today, but for this example, I'm going to import it. And nothing happened. Okay, so if you're on a Mac, this is I guess a common issue. So nothing imported here. I still have my same 3 references here, so there's a little bit of a problem. So what I would do is I'd go to File, I'd go to Import again, locate that file that I needed to import, and next I would go to Options. And this is on the Mac. You may have a different dialog window that opens if you're on a Windows computer. So from So I need my import options on the Mac to say PubMed NLM, and I had to turn off my duplicates function. So there is a function here to make sure that you don't import any duplicate items into your EndNote library. I'm going to import it. Treatment and then import it. Okay, so these are my three new imported references. And these have to deal with treatment, so I'm going to take these, I'm going to highlight them and put them in my treatment folder. So now I've got 6 articles here. The most recent ones are these highlighted ones. Okay. So those are the manual instructions. Okay, so next we want to set up our find full text function. So you are going to go to Edit in your EndNote window, Edit, Import Filters, Open Filter Manager. Oh, sorry. That's not what we're going to. We're doing Find Full Text. Apologies. So we're going to go to EndNote Preferences and Find Full Text. So let me go to and then I have, there are 2 URLs here that we're going to insert. What this does is it tells EndNote, whenever you bring in a citation, we can command EndNote to attach PDFs. So it will use our Manoa affiliation to look for full text and then to attach, or full text PDFs, and then attach those to our citations for us. If it doesn't find a site or a PDF, we can attach it manually if we need to. So I am going to my EndNote and Preferences. If you're on a Windows computer, you would go to Edit and Preferences. So on the Mac, EndNote, Preferences, and then we're looking for Find Full Text. So if you haven't set this up already, you would have 2 empty fields. So with the presentation slides, you would highlight this Insert Open URL Path, or copy it and paste it into this open URL path. And then you would take this second URL, copy it, and paste it into the Authenticate With URL field. You have the option to automatically invoke the Find Full Text function. So whenever you bring in a new reference or a new citation, EndNote will automatically look for the PDF for you. If you're working on a systematic review and importing, hundreds, thousands of citations, references all at once, you probably don't want this to happen. So depending on what you're working on, you may need to leave it turned off. I'm leaving mine turned off, and I'm going to hit save. So we'll close. So next, I'm going to go to my treatment folder. So these are the citations that I brought in earlier in this session, and I'm going to click on the top one, shift, and highlight all 6 of these. And next, I'm going to click on this PDF icon. If you hover over it, it says Find Full Text. Okay. I have to log in the same way I'm logging into my UH email. Waiting. Okay. And next, I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom, and there's Find Full Text at the bottom of all of the different groups that I'm working on. I have Find Full Text, and I have a confirmation that it is searching, it looks like it found some PDFs, it found URLs. So you'll see paper clip icons appear next to the article or the references that it's finding full text for. And for the ones that it found a URL, you may be able to just go to that go to that URL and manually attach it. So for this, there are PDFs attached to all of those. So I'm going to just click on this one article. I'm going to look in the preview window, and here's a URL. So I could go here, download the PDF, and then use this attach PDF function. Okay. All right. So next is the part of this where we will look at collaborating with other authors. So this could be sharing your EndNote library, and you might end up working with other authors who don't have access to Microsoft Word. So I know a lot of students have been kind of turned off from using EndNote because they don't have Microsoft Word, but we've got a nice Google hack to help get around that. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is sharing your EndNote library with others. You have a couple options. So you can share the entire library. So here's my EndNote library, and there's a little person with a plus icon. If I click on this, I can enter the email of a person who also has an EndNote account. I can share the entire library with them. They would see all 4,000 of these different references in here. So depending on what it is that you're working on, this might work for you. But I think more often people are working on multiple different projects. You want to keep one EndNote library, and you want to use these folders to keep everything organized, the group sets. So what you can use instead is the EndNote Online account, and it will help to facilitate sharing just parts of your library. So what you would do is you would go to, I'll log out of here. You would go to myendnoteweb.com, and that's here, myendnoteweb.com, and you would click on this register if you don't already have an account. You would click on register. You don't have to use a hawaii.edu. It could be a Gmail, Hotmail, whatever you prefer. And you could go ahead and you would log in. And then this is just an example of what my online EndNote library looks like. I use this library strictly for syncing my main EndNote library software, syncing it to this account, to my online account, in order to share parts of it. So I'm not really doing any actual work from the online version of this. It's more just I'm using it to make sure that I can share different groups with other collaborators, other authors. All right, let me look at the slides again. So some things to note with the online account. I might say EndNote Online or EndNote Basic. They mean the same thing. It's an online version of EndNote. You can use it standalone. So if you try out the full version of EndNote, the EndNote software, and you decide you don't like it, you can use this online version. It is free, it's web-based, and you can still have it work with Microsoft Word. If you prefer to use it in Google Docs, you could do that. You have options. So it has, the online version has limited functionality. It won't store as many citations. You'll be missing a lot of the bells and whistles that the full version of EndNote has. But it gets the basic job done, especially if it's students that you're working with. Okay. So like I said earlier, this is where groups becomes important. So I'm going to go to my EndNote library. So what I would need to do here is to connect my online account to this EndNote, the EndNote library that's living on my desktop computer. So I'm going to go again to EndNote and Preferences, or if you're on a Windows computer, Edit, Preferences. And next, I'm going to go to Sync. So when you've created your online EndNote account, you'll want to enter whatever email and password you use to log into the online account is what you're going to enter here in this sync form. So again, you have an option to sync automatically. So whenever you open your EndNote library, everything syncs, or you can command when the library syncs. And we'll click Save. I use my EndNote library a lot for teaching others how to use it. So I end up with a lot of junk in my library, and I don't like to have it automatically sync. I still have a lot of cleanup to do in my EndNote. So once you've done that, if you decide that you want to command when or control when your EndNote library syncs, you will click on this icon in the upper left-hand corner. It looks like arrows in a circle. So you would click on that. It would ask, are you sure you want to sync? And you would say, let's see. Uh-oh, mine didn't confirm. Oh, okay, here. I have this configure sync window going on. So hopefully I can still stop it. Okay. We'll leave that alone for now. All right, so once, I'm gonna hop over to the EndNote library. So once your EndNote desktop library has synced with your online account, you'll start to see those different group folders that you created in your software. So they'll start to appear under this My Groups. And then next, so if you want to share one of these groups or however many you need to share, you'll go to Organize, Manage My Groups, and then you'll see the list of groups that you have. I'm just going to click on this first one. So manage sharing and start sharing this group. You would enter the email address of the other author. So whatever email address they've associated with their EndNote account is what you would enter here. And then you can choose how much permission you want to give them. Do you want them only to be able to read what's in the library, or do you want them to be able to add and delete items from the library? And then you would hit apply. So for the groups that you have shared, you'll see these icons next to them. Okay, and then similar to here. So once you've shared something in your actual, in your EndNote library, in the software, you'll see the people, the little person icon next to those groups as well. Okay, so switching gears again, we're going to look at our hack for getting EndNote to Cite in Google Docs. So I have a Google Doc open, and what I want to do next is I'm going to line my windows up side by side so that I can see my EndNote window along with my EndNote window along with my Google Doc window. So let me get to a part of my document here. So I have a couple, you can see that what the citations are what it's looking like here. I'm going to highlight a citation, and I'm going to drag it and drop it. I have a little blue cursor in the background. And it's going to insert this curly bracket, an author's name, the year, and then this identifier, the number sign along with a set of numbers. And what it is, it's an identifier for that particular citation in my EndNote library. So it's a placeholder. That's one way of thinking about it right now. So ideally, you would have your document written and you would be inserting these placeholders as you go. So, and then again, I want to stress that this is an option if you do not have Microsoft Word. If you have Microsoft Word, I definitely recommend using Microsoft Word to insert your citations. But if you're collaborating with somebody who doesn't have access to Microsoft Word, this is an option. So I've gone through, I've inserted my citations. And then what I would need to do next is download my completed document with everything inserted, file, download, and I would choose either ODT file or an RTF. So either one will work. ODT. Okay. So next, I'm going to back to my EndNote window, and I'm going to Tools, Format Paper, and Format Paper again. Okay, so this is my document that I just created, my ODT document. And what that is just, it's an open source version, or I guess kind of a generic version of a Word document. So Microsoft Word is a proprietary product. This ODT you can think of as the generic version. Okay, so I'm going to click Open. And next, I have a dialog box that's confirming the number of citations, number of match citations. So this means that my EndNote software was able to match those placeholders that I put into Google Docs. And now I can choose a style. I can select another style if what I need is not listed here. So remembering that the citation styles available in EndNote, you have many to choose from. So organized by different journal names, their styles, and then also our standard styles like APA, MLA. We have the AMA style. So I'll leave it on the journal for the American Medical Association here. And then if you needed to, for some reason, have your bibliography start with a different number, you can. I'm going to leave it at 1. I'm going to click Format. And then you have the option of renaming the document and choosing where you want to save it. So I'll leave it. I'm going to click Save. And then what happens, so if you decide to save this document and send it to another author, this document that we just created, it can be edited in Microsoft Word. So it's formatted, the citation, the bibliographies, and it has, it's put our number style in there. So in this case, my period is in the wrong place, but you can go ahead and this all becomes edit. You are able to edit all of this. So the drawback to using this, if you made a mistake here, you would need to go back to that Google Doc, edit the mistake, or if you needed to add, you'd have to go back in, add it, and then download it again. So ideally, you'd probably want to save the step for formatting this paper from Google Docs as one of your very last steps. Okay. So, but the nice thing about using this is if you're collaborating with other authors, you can have multiple authors working on the same Google Doc, and at the same time, you're making sure that the set of citations that you're working off of in EndNote, that's shared with the same authors so that everybody is working off of the same set of information. With the identifiers here, though, you're probably going to want to rely on one person to be inserting it, because this identifier could be a different number for the other authors, if that makes, I hope that makes sense. So I would say to rely on one person to do all of the inserting of the citations. Okay. And then again, step-by-step instructions are here if you need to come back to it at any time. So then there is also some information here if you do have access to Microsoft Word. And again, I recommend that you use Microsoft Word. with EndNote. So there are a lot of other functions that come with this. So this is an example of what your toolbar would look like once you have the EndNote Cite While You Write tool installed in Microsoft Word. So you've got your insert citation function. You can edit and manage citations. So if you need to add page numbers, what have you, there's a lot of functionality here. And this is, again, another example of what it would look like if you were going to use Microsoft Word to edit your citations, add and edit citations. Okay. So in summary, there is a little bit of a learning curve for EndNote. This has been a crash course just in getting, you know, the very basics done and giving you some ideas of how you can work with other authors who may not have access to Microsoft Word. You know, there is a help team with EndNote. It's a proprietary product, but part of what you get is an actual help desk. So in addition to your librarians who are more than happy to help you, we're here for you to help you, you can also call EndNote's the EndNote help desk. I've had to use them myself, and they've been great. So like I said, you know, working with Google Docs, it's a hack, but it'll get the job done. I recommend using Firefox or Chrome browsers when it comes to downloading citations and saving them, and just keeping in touch and letting us know what we can help you with. This is some information on purchasing EndNote through the University of Hawaii at Manoa. So if you purchase it through EndNote, I think you're looking at $100 or so for a student license, and 300 plus, 200 plus for a non-student license. So it is expensive. It's an investment, but the University of Hawaii Manoa subsidizes the cost of the EndNote software for us. So those of us affiliated with JABSOM, we are also affiliated with University of Hawaii Manoa, so you can get this software at a discount. So at the moment it's $50. The price changes a little bit every year, but this is the link for getting that getting the license through the university. And then these are just some additional resources for you. So we have our own guide here with videos, tips on using EndNote, but Claravit Analytics, so they are the company that produces EndNote. They have a lot of their own really great training material. There are a ton of videos. They have their own YouTube channel, so it's great. If you're using an older version of EndNote, they still have some of those videos up as well. And then we have a virtual information desk right now, kind of our virtual library. So Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, if you run into any problems, you can jump into our Zoom room and we are glad to help you. We can share screens, see what's going on, and see how we can best help you. And then of course, our email and our phone number is here as well. So we really hope to hear from you. We hope that you're doing well, and good luck. I'm going to say thank you.